Welcome to Let's Talk NRM, our monthly program on natural resource management. This comes to you from MBMA, the Meghalaya Basin Management Agency. And as I said, this is our first episode, and we are here today at the Maukadep village, one of the successful CLEM villages. CLEM stands for the Community-Led Landscape Management Project. And with us today, we have the project director of CLEM, Mr. Sampath Kumar, and we will have a short chat with him and know more about this program and its success. So when we talk about this Meghalaya Community-Led Landscape Management Program, some of the words that really jump out of this kind of title that you've given to this program is landscape management. What does it really mean, and how is this approach different from other approaches that the government has taken in the past?
Yeah, landscape management is something that's a very adaptive model, in the sense like we have been experimenting with watershed management. Right. We have been experimenting with like spring shed management. Right. So where the focus is more on physical and geological aspects of nature conservation. When it comes to the landscape management, what we are going to look at is that not only the physical and the nature and the conservation aspects, but also the socio-economic aspects. Right. How basically, if you ask me to describe in a formula what is landscape management, is equal to the nature conservation plus sustainable livelihoods. The very concept of landscape management is to balance between the nature conservation and also creation of those livelihoods that are required for the people. And it's essentially, it balances the competing challenges of the land use. We are reducing that trade-off. Right. So that we will address the poverty reduction, we will address the ecosystems conservation. So, in a very holistic manner. When you look at one of the important challenges of building the state, capability or enhancing the state capability, is that how we are able to build that capacity at the community level. So often what happens is that when you bring the expertise, they will come and go. Right. So it would not actually stay there. So it creates a kind of a dependent system, and also what happens is that people start looking at for solutions from the outside. Right. Whereas there is so much knowledge within the communities. True. And also they can own up. If you look at I'll give a best example in Meghalaya. Our communities have innovated, brought maybe a concept of weaving bridges. Right. Living root bridges. Right. So if you look at the concept, the knowledge is there. It's a great engineering marvel. Absolutely. And nowhere is found exactly on the planet. Yeah. So it's a concept where you are building local leadership. That's right. To find solutions by themselves. Why we say entire project is community led. We do have the external expert organizations. We have some of the best organizations we have brought in, like Aghyam, which works on water. And there is an aqua dam, there is a sadhana forest. Different organizations, the best organizations across the country, we brought them to train our community resource persons. We wanted to build the community professionals who can manage natural resources with the landscape approach. Wow. So under this project, we have two streams or two components. One is that where we have identified about 400 villages where we are doing a very intensive work. A lot of investment is going on there. For example, this is one of such villages out of 400, where we have in every such village we have 3 village community facilitators who are trained in natural resource management, forestry, and rural development management. These are all young people, and you can see they have a smartphone and they use all the digital applications, and they are very well trained. So the idea is that what the expert knows, Now our village community facilitator knows, and that community facilitator is helping the communities along with training them, and not only training them,
implementing.
So that way it's very.
And they can bring up the next generation of trainers.
Yes. Okay. That's the idea. Village community facilitators have been trained and nurtured and they are there in the village. And what we are doing is that we are leveraging the young people's energy. So once the young people, they in fact they also learn from the traditional knowledge from the older generation.
Right.
And also they're also connected to the technology.
Right.
So that they actually are connected to the global best practices.
Right.
So that way we are getting the best out of them. But entire thing is led by the community. If there are 3 important global problems, in fact, the best thinkers, they say, one of them is climate change.
Right.
So how actually climate change can be addressed is through effective natural resource management.
Absolutely.
And for Meghalaya, it is all the more important because 70 to 80% of our population depends on nature-based resources, whether it's agriculture, forestry, mining, everything based on nature-based resources. So it's all the more important for us. So under this project, that's one of the important focuses. For example, what we are doing, we are actually helping the mining-affected villages, how actually they can improve their soil fertility.
Okay.
How they can actually grow crops again in the lands which are degraded because of the mining.
Right.
Similarly, we are actually trying to help those villages where, for example, this village, they converted a wasteland into a kind of a very, very productive zone. A lot of investment is going on essentially on building that natural resource management sector. The traditional institutions, they have to really take up this as one of the important agenda. So for that, we are forming village natural resource management committees. We are working in seriously degraded villages to start with. So, and the results we can see as we are seeing today. Climate change is essentially a global phenomenon. It has been affecting everyone and everywhere. It's not sparing anybody because of the increased global temperature. Right. At the same time, a lot of loss of forest cover. And it has changed the pattern of rainfall, and it's impacting the entire the planet. For example, Meghalaya, we have been seeing climate change is a reality now. So we can see the increased temperatures. We can see that there is a variation in terms of the rainfall. The precipitation is not very regular. You get a very intense rainfall at a short interval. Right. And then what's happening is that it's taking away the very precious soil, topsoil. So, if it continues like this, we would not be able to even grow, crops. So what we are doing is that under this project, we are trying to look at, for example, we are trying to bring in a zero budget natural farming. It's a new concept where you would really protect the soil to grow crops. So it's a soil sequestration idea. So we are bringing such kind of a concept to see that we are climate resilient. Let us look at this village. This village is the Maukadab village. This is one of those villages identified even through satellite data that it's a high priority village. The communities, they have come together, they formed a committee, they started working together. And then what they did was they first actually addressed the ridges, the hillside. And then they worked on conservation. They constructed 3 check dams. Harvested the water, and the water is now being used for agricultural purposes as well.
And it's available even during winter.
Yes, and for the drinking water purposes. Yes. So it's essentially they created an ecosystem where they have created a nursery now, because that's very important. So again so this is again a community nursery. They are also actually tapping into that the market. So the idea is that it's like a holistic. If you look at it, if you invest in natural resources, you can actually create so many livelihoods. Now connected to this, they have invested in vermicompost, organic farming, and then that actually creating more revenue. And then not only that, because they are doing so well, people from other villages, they're coming and saying what actually they are doing it here.
So they're taking
they have become a learning
inspiration from here.
They're becoming a learning center now. in the last 3 years, they could see a change. They were having a problem of water shortage. They could able to fix that problem, and now they are actually taking up these kind of initiatives where actually they are selling the planting material to other villages. And taking these examples, we would like to actually scale it up to all other villages by leveraging our existing institutions like village employment councils.
Okay.
So that way, this project is actually, we are using it to test, and pilot and build prototypes.
Okay.
So that we can take these learnings
Right.
to easily to other villages.
So there's this whole question of quality in the delivery system.
Yeah.
Now, the moment you scale up this project, how do you ensure that the quality still prevails?
We have a community operations manual.
Okay.
So COM, community operations manual. What does it do is that, whatever the trainings that actually the village community facilitators get, so they are accessible to them all the time. So that way what we are doing, we are investing a lot on a kind of a pipeline. So there is no scope for dilution of the content. That's a very interesting concept, and maybe this is one of the reasons during this COVID period, and this project has done very well. But besides that, we also have been bringing now, like it's a work in progress, a center of excellence at the state level.
Okay.
So where we are bringing different departments, their knowledge, and slowly we are trying to bring that collaboration. We also have actually submitted a dossier for UNESCO World Heritage status for our living root bridges.
So, sir, when this project is over by 2023, what kind of changes would people of Meghalaya expect to see in the scenario?
The idea is that, like, by the end of this project, we would like to create a kind of a consciousness among every village, the way we are seeing that consciousness in this village. You see this, what they have done with waste.
Right.
So the environmental consciousness, how actually we can bring that consciousness across the state. We have done one study, carbon footprint study,
Right.
where our carbon emissions are lesser than Bhutan.
Meghalaya?
Meghalaya.
Wonderful.
But that needs to be communicated.
Yes.
That needs to be showcased. That needs to be. It's an inspiration. So we need to see that the state would take lead in terms of natural resource management, in terms of the climate change action, not only in the northeastern region, but in the entire world. What is the vision is that we are actually using a state capability enhancement approach in this project. The idea of this project is that we build that collaboration, and then we build that local leadership. As I said, the village level leadership and village level, not only the leadership in terms of owning up the activities, but also giving that knowledge and the resources. And the third element is like using data and technology, and more importantly, promoting that capability through practice. You learn by doing it, actually.
Yes.
Practice and innovation. So that's the kind of a framework we are working. If you ask me, the vision is that, like, we should really create a kind of a hope that we can create sustainable livelihoods for not only for the current generation but also for the future generations. And in the process, we are bringing that the consciousness among everybody. That's where our focus is more on implementation. And you create models. So that's the hope, and we hope to see that this would lead to creation of employment around natural resource management sector. And by end of the project, we should be able to scale up these interventions across the state.
That's right. Thank you very much, sir, for your time and for this wonderful conversation. And I'm sure a lot of the young people would have been inspired listening to this and learning from what the CLEM program is doing for the state of Meghalaya. And viewers, thank you so much for being with us through this entire conversation. And do join us again next month for our next episode of Let's Talk NRM.